Skeletons may be both spooky and scary, but did you know that they're eager to be ripped out of your body if the conditions are right? That's foreshadowing for later. Welcome to Monster of the Week, the only show on the internet that thinks undead should be allowed to vote. After all, nobody's as boned up on spicy political takes as a skeleton, and nothing bones up on anything quite like this week's Monster of the Week, the Boneyard from D&D 3rd edition. As always, my goal this week is to go over the Boneyard's in-game lore, its publication history, some combat encounter ideas, and of course to present you with some brand new 5th edition monster stats. So buckle up, because what this monster lacks in meat, it more than makes up for in potential.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
In the year 2004, Andy Collins and Bruce Cordell said, "You know what we need more of? Some spooky ass shit." And with what I'm sure was a resounding "let's go" from everyone in the office, Wizards of the Coast published Libris Mortis, the Book of Undead. Like the name would suggest, this book is packed to the gills with all kinds of stuff pertaining to necromancy and undead fellas. And like most 3rd edition books, you have a wide array of character options, new spells, equipment, and just a whack of new monsters. And on page 89, nestled right between the Bone Rat Swarm and the Brain in a Jar, yes, they are both on the list of monsters for upcoming videos, don't worry, we see the Boneyard. Now, what a particularly spooky skeleton. Boneyards are exactly what they appear to be. Massive amalgamated creatures built entirely from bones. The most common form they take is a huge bony serpent with some kind of beast skull as the head. However, this creature's form is entirely fluid, so they can really appear and take on any shape that they want. One might be a giant serpent, and another might be humanoid in shape, while still another might appear to manifest as just a tidal wave of bones. There are literally no rules, so whatever you think is the creepiest shape for all these skeletal components to be in, that's the shape they should take on. Now, unlike most undead creatures, they are fully sentient. With an intelligence score of 18, they definitely know what's going on. Probably even better than most adventurers do. Especially the Paladin. And, believe it or not, the 40-foot serpentine creature made entirely of bones is not a naturally occurring organism. Like pretty well all undead abominations that should not be, they are created creatures. If created intentionally, there is a foul ritual which a necromancer must perform at a location with a lot of bones present. Your obvious choices would be something like a graveyard or a battlefield. However, the only condition that must be met is that the magic user in question has access to a ton of skeletal components. Once this ritual summoning spell has been cast, all the bones amalgamate together, and what do you know? It's a boneyard. Now, unless the necromancer has a way to bind the creature into service, the newly born boneyard isn't really beholden to anyone or anything. As a sentient creature, it is totally capable of thinking for itself. So even if it is bonded to its creator or someone else for whatever reason, if it's not satisfied with the way it's being treated, it can and will actively seek ways to escape. What any given boneyard might hope to achieve is anyone's best guess. But the one thing they all have in common is an overwhelming urge to subsume more bones. In much the same way that a living animal is driven by its instinct to eat and feed itself, the boneyard wants to add to its form by collecting more skeletons and using their bones to replace old and destroyed bones that were previously part of its form. The obvious and probably easiest way for it to do this is to find and absorb other corpses, or even lesser undead such as regular skeletons. But when the bone supply runs dry, how do we think that the boneyard might best feed its craving for osseous matter? This is the part of the video where we talk about how it can rip out skeletons. The Boneyard is a pretty simple, if not extremely effective combatant. It only has one attack, and it's a very powerful bite. And this bite attack does some piercing damage, as one would expect, but if the target has a skeleton, like most things do, the Boneyard is able to pull on the victim's bones and try to incorporate them into its body, even if the creature it's biting is still alive. I would even argue especially if the creature is still alive. Not only is this horrific in a way I never thought I'd have to realize, but the target also has to take 4d10 force damage if they fail a Constitution saving throw, so it's bad mechanically too. So feel free to describe that force damage to anyone in the thing's jaws by letting them know that it feels like their skeleton is being pulled out of their meat. But wait, there's more. If bitten by the Boneyard, you're also grappled by it, which definitely sucks. And on the following turn, if it bites you again and you still haven't escaped the grapple, you are now restrained by it. And at the start of its next turn, if it still has you restrained, you have to make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw. I'll give you a moment to guess what might happen if you fail that saving throw. Anyone who said, if you fail, your skeleton is ripped out of your body and subsumed by the Boneyard, you win. Also, yeah, if that happens, you die. You definitely are no longer a living person. It is worth mentioning, though, that this extra force damage does not apply to any creature without a skeleton, such as an ooze, or a plant, or even a construct. I'm talking about naturally grown organic bones only. None of these processed metal bones or whatever. It can also only make one bite attack per turn, so in order to get off this instant kill effect, it has to hit somebody with its bite and then keep them grappled and then restrained for 2 full turns. So this ability is not tremendously overpowered in my opinion because there's ample time to get out of it. But sometimes the dice just don't go your way and the threat is there, and that's what's important. That is what's scary. In addition to this gruesome ability, the Boneyard can also shed piles of bones a couple times per day to create a small group of skeletal minions. Using an action, it can summon either 3d4 skeletons or 1d6 Minotaur skeletons. Depending on the situation, a large group of regular skeletons or a smaller group of powerful Minotaur skeletons both have differing benefits. But I think this is a really cool ability that makes the Boneyard an awesome boss monster. In terms of actually building an encounter, it's pretty straightforward, I think. Your Boneyard is usually going to begin combat by summoning some guys, and then it's going to be flying around the battlefield trying to rip out a skeleton here or there. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that, did I? They can fucking fly.
Oh, they fly now!
They fly now!
They fly now!
With a fly speed of 60 feet, they are extremely mobile for a creature of their size. So they're liable to swoop in, drop off a skeleton raiding party, grapple an unfortunate soul, and then take off to the skies for an all-you-can-eat bone buffet. God, this monster is just flying around eating bones. But the real question isn't how the Boneyard subsumes bone matter in agonizing fashion, it's why. So, let's talk about a few. Fun fact, skeletons are scary. So what better monster for a Dungeons & Dragons Halloween adventure than a Boneyard? I have to imagine that the most straightforward and obvious story involving a Boneyard would be that of a necromancer summoning one of them to use as a minion. I can just imagine a powerful spellcaster sailing over their legion of skeletons and zombies on the back of a Boneyard mount. That would not only make for an extremely metal piece of concept art, it would also be a pretty mean final boss fight. But if you want something a bit more outside the box, I think a Boneyard could be a really creative way to play on the spirit of vengeance trope. I mean, we already have revenants to kind of fill that role of an undead creature that rises from the grave in order to seek revenge on those who wronged it while it was still alive. But when a revenant isn't enough of a threat, perhaps you have an entire legion of soldiers that was sent to their death by a local monarch for some reason that have now risen as an amalgamated Boneyard set on revenge. Perhaps they were sent to die for political reasons, or maybe it's just pure ineptitude on the side of the leader. But whatever your reason, justified or not, the Boneyard has now started wreaking havoc on the countryside, and it's only a matter of time before it makes its way through that monarch's kingdom and up to the castle. Now we've got some intrigue, a mystery to be solved, and a big scary monster. The stuff dreams are made of. And if you don't want to use the Boneyard as like a big boss type enemy for the end of a campaign, perhaps you use it as the opening of a campaign. I think it could be very fun to do that same kind of combat encounter where you have the necromancer casting their profane ritual at the local cemetery at the center of town. Then the party arrives on the scene, takes down the villain, destroys the Boneyard, and combat ends. But in the act of tearing up the cemetery to summon this Boneyard, the necromancy has unknowingly revealed some kind of secret. Perhaps underneath the tomb of a long dead knight that was in the cemetery, there is a chamber that was hidden and sealed off from the rest of the world for hundreds of years. Nobody knew it was there. And inside this chamber, or maybe it's even an entire dungeon, that's where the true start of the campaign begins. What's waiting for them down there? That's totally up to you. If you want to keep it simple, maybe it's just a few powerful magic items or a hoard of riches. But perhaps there's something relevant to the story of the campaign, such as a scroll containing a prophecy of something grim to come. Or maybe even the ghost of the knight who was buried in this tomb is still hanging out down there waiting for somebody to find them, and they have some kind of wisdom or quest to bestow upon the party. In fact, if the thing torn up was a huge monument, maybe it's not even just one knight, but like an entire order of knights who were all buried there and entombed, who were in service to the previous king, and they know something about the current ruler that nobody else knows, this atrocity that was committed during a time of war when the kingdom was originally conquered. Who knows? You can shake things up however you want. This could just serve as an excuse to discover something that was buried underneath the town, which was sort of in plain sight, but no one else knew was there. But however you choose to use this monster, I do think the Boneyard is a truly unique creature even among skeletal kind. And I'm so glad I got to talk about it here today. If you do want to use this monster, linked in the description down below, there is a Google document which contains all the stats and lore tidbits and everything you will need to successfully run this creature in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And if you're one of my lovely patrons over on the Patreon page, which is also linked down below, you will find the PDF stat block presented with the unique Dungeon Dad style with all the artwork and flavor text and all that good stuff. Plus it helps support me and the channel and keeps all these very, very hot stage lights turned on. Maybe I got a little overzealous when I wore a hat in this video. I just want it to be winter so bad, it's so hot in this office. But speaking of patrons, it is time for Patron of the Week. This week's randomly selected patron is Mr. Saturday. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it immensely, and if everything went as planned, hopefully this video comes up on the day of your namesake. I guess we'll see. If it's not Saturday today, something happened. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it immensely. If you have a monster from a previous version of D&D that you want to see show up on Monster of the Week, leave a comment, let me know, or get at me on Discord. We have a monster suggestions channel, and the link to the Discord is in the description down below also, so you can let me know there. We'll add it to the monster list, and who knows, you might just see it show up on the channel. Also, over on the Dungeon Dad Discord, we're currently in the midst of a giveaway happening. I am giving away 5 badges to PAX Unplugged. They're full weekend badges, which usually I think cost like $87 US. So if you want to go to PAX Unplugged and you don't want to pay for your tickets, in the Dungeon Dad Discord and the giveaways channel, all you have to do is do a little emoji reaction thing to the giveaway post, and you will automatically be entered to win a free weekend pass. Shout out to the folks over at PAX for hooking us up with those free passes to give away. And regardless of all that, I'm gonna be there doing some interviews and stuff during the weekend, and if you see me around the show floor, come up, say hi, tell me what your favorite monster is. I got some like Dungeon Dad stickers made, you can have one of those. I'm gonna be wearing probably a ridiculous outfit, so I shouldn't be too hard to find. I also do want to quickly mention the Quintessential Guide to Monster Encounters. It is a new book that I am working on along with Wally DM and Mr. Tarask. I'll put up some artwork from the book around here somewhere. That's going to be going to Kickstarter real soon. I believe the 25th of October is our planned launch date for the Kickstarter, so it would mean the world to me if you would click the link in the pinned comment, go over to Kickstarter, and just follow the project. Just check it out. On the launch day, there's going to be a free sample PDF of 3 full new monsters, brand new to the game that we've come up with, along with artwork, some lore stuff, and a full encounter that is scalable so you can run the monster at different levels for different types of parties. We're really excited about this book. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be all about bringing some new monsters to the game and kind of giving advice on how to run and build effective encounters, as well as giving you a bunch of pre-generated encounters for those times when the party wanders off and you don't know what to do. Just pop the book open. Oh, we're encountering this. Boom, there it is. But yeah, like I said, you can click the link in the pinned comment down below to check that out. It would mean the world to me. I'm very excited about it. I'm definitely going to be talking about this a bit more on the channel over the next month and all the Kickstarter is happening, because this is the first like fully bound book that I've gotten the chance to work on. And what I mean by that is like a hardcover book that's actually going to be printed and sent out, which is very exciting. Definitely something I've wanted to do for a long time, something I've talked about doing for a long time, and now we're finally doing it. So, but anyways, that's pretty much all I got for this week. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it immensely, and I will catch ya in the next one. Until then.